Viewer contributions make local programming possible on WNIN. Become a member of WNIN with your contribution so we can continue to make this programming available. Visit WNIN.org and click on the donate button.
Pat?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
We're back on the air this month.
Seems like it's been a while. Have you had a good summer so far?
Great summer. School's starting.
School
has already started,
in session. Life is good. We got them all open, and all the schools seem to be doing well.
Not just well, you got a state recognition in the reading score.
We did. The EVSC had an increase in many of the scores. Very proud of what they're trying to do. I see where SIG School once again got its national recognition. I think in terms of urban schools in the state of Indiana, you cannot do better than Evansville, Indiana.
Evansville-Vandenberg School Corporation.
Exactly, and in a Shively Shoulders edition coming up in the next weeks, we're going to meet the new superintendent.
Exactly.
We're also going to meet our prosecutor, who is in her first term.
We've met her before, but we're going to meet her again.
But tonight's show is really advertised as just me and you.
But it's kind of dangerous.
The first thing I would like to introduce is I want to show our viewers, you'll recall that Congress ran out before they were forced to vote on Jeffrey Epstein's files. You remember the speaker. And so they came home for their summer break and their summer recess. And I would like to show all of you the schedule that Mark the Messier, our 8th District Congressman, has maintained, the schedule he's had for our 8th District people. These are all of the town halls he's held. These are all of the times he agreed to be interviewed publicly. These are all of the meetings he has held with constituents in great groups at libraries throughout the 8th District. I want to thank you, Congressman Mark Messier, for continuing the tradition of Larry Bouchon, where no one could pick you out of a lineup.
A little respect, it's Mark Messmer.
Messmer?
Yes.
I thought it was Messier. And you would also be incorrect if you thought we didn't have a guest tonight. We do have a guest. Could you zero in on our guest tonight? Senator Banks, I'd like to ask you, how do you feel about the big, ugly bill? Senator Banks, how do you think the negotiations went with Ukraine and where the Trump administration is taking any position on that war? Our guest tonight was Senator Banks, a rubber stamp in Washington, D.C.
Well, speaking of the 8th District, the Democrats have a candidate.
We have
Mary Allen.
I would suggest, Your Honor, that we not only have a candidate, which all of you have been calling, offering contributions. This means I do not have to run for the 8th District seat. So right now I'm declaring that I am no longer a candidate because Mary Allen.
Return all the money, please.
I will return every cent that I have received for the Shoulders for 8th District campaign, which is no longer necessary. Mary Allen is a great candidate, elected, did very well in her first race for the city council. She will bring a delightful choice. I think she's a viable candidate. Now,
yes, sir.
The 8th District, I'm told, if you look at the way they rate the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, and the Republicans as to where they're going to put money, any district which is tilted so much to one side, they don't spend any money. And the 8th District, the cutoff is a +6 district. However they rank that, +6. If it leans +6, either way, they don't spend any money. The 8th District, ladies and gentlemen, is +19 for the Republicans.
And a little bit of history. It used to be called the Bloody 8th because it was a very competitive district.
You and I are old enough to remember Roger Zion, who said, well, Winfield Denton sat there. We named the federal building after him. Roger Zion was there very successfully for many years.
Then Watergate came along.
The Watergate
and Phil
babies.
Hayes defeated him in the election.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah.
Phil Hayes won, then it bounced back. Newt Gingrich's rise to fame was taking on the McIntyre-McCloskey.
Right.
Came from the backbench, took that seat, led him on a walkout, and was really the beginning of Newt's power. Do you remember that, Senator Banks?
Speaking of walkouts, the Texas legislature is back in session. Democrats walked out, now they're back.
They did.
Reminds me in 2011 when the Democrats walked out of the Indiana General Assembly so we didn't have a vote on the right to work law.
I didn't remember the issue, but you're right. It was over right to work.
And guess what? That was the beginning of the end and actually the beginning of the stronghold Republicans had in this state.
Mitch engineered, as did Evan Bayh before him, the takeover of the state. Mitch, your man Mitch, who was a guest on Shively Shoulders at least 3 times, and a good guest when he was on.
Yeah.
Engineered a complete takeover. They played the long game. I hand it to them. They started filling contested races with viable candidates and played a long game. And now we Democrats are pretty irrelevant statewide. But let's talk about the Texas thing. What is your take on that? As a judge, I mean, we're mid-census. Normally it's been on the 2020, 2030. We do the count. Both parties have gerrymandered. I'm not casting the first stone here. But I don't remember us doing it mid-census. Do you?
I don't either, but Gavin Newsom, governor of California, wants to do the same thing, even though they have a commission. He wants to pass a law, get rid of the commission.
We're playing defense and offense there. If they're going to get 5 seats in Texas, we need 5 seats in California. This is Donald Trump afraid of the midterms, where if the Democrats can get either house, we can stop this complete nonsense and buffoonery that comes out of Washington. You agree with that, Senator? Yes.
Well, there's a savior for the Democrat Party in the state of Indiana.
Who would that be?
Bo Bayh. Indianapolis Star just came out.
I remember when Bo and his brother were little children. I went to Evan Bayh's inaugural ball when he was elected governor, and I think Susan Bayh might have been, may she rest in peace, he might have been pregnant. Anyway, I remember those boys. They grew growing up.
Twin brothers, right?
Yeah, and law school, I think.
Right.
What's Bo doing now?
Bo is a clerk with the 7th Circuit.
And he's talking about political office?
Hasn't talked about it specifically, but he spoke to a gathering at French Lick over the weekend. 175 people showed up to hear him talk.
Well, if you go to French Lick to some of those old political meetings over there, then you're starting to, and it would be a name like that might give vibrancy to an otherwise moribund party.
A little history. French Lick and Democrat politics go hand in hand.
Yes.
It was in 1932. The Democrat National Committee met at French Lick and nominated, and not really nominated, but they encouraged the candidacy of Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
And if you go to French Lick, and this touches my heart, if you look on the pictures, there is Franklin Roosevelt and Eleanor sitting out on the lawn at French Lick. He could do it. Now, here's the other way that Mary Allen could get elected. You mentioned Watergate babies.
Right.
I believe there will be a big delta between now and
For folks
a year from now.
You don't understand these symbols. Delta means change.
Or different. Right now, Trump, who's by the way, his approval ratings in Ipsos, in any poll you can trust, are at an all-time low, really. And I think a year from now, when the tariffs have taken full effect, and when people begin to understand the big ugly bill, the country will be in such revolt that I've said before on this show, you won't be able to find anybody who admits voting for him, except you, Senator, that in fact, the Mary Allens remember, George W. had it so messed up, somebody named Barack Hussein Obama carried Indiana. backlashes happen in politics. That's Mary Allen's big chance.
Well, we're already starting to see some evidence of what you're talking about. Some of these governor races in some of those states taking shape. Republicans are not doing that well.
We recruited North Carolina, very popular Democratic governor, has agreed to run for the Senate. Right. Sherrod Brown, who was one of my favorite senators in Ohio, who was beaten in the MAGA revolution, is going to come back and take on the incumbent there. So there's interest. And we all know that the orange buffoon is capable of anything. One thing he's really capable of is keeping those Epstein files from being released.
Let me touch upon that. Talk to the Watergate babies. Representative Hayes was elected.
He was, 74.
As a result of that, it's going to, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, it's going to take a scandal to bring this present MAGA group to a level playing field. What I think is maybe going to be that scandal if these Epstein files ever get released completely, and we find out that maybe Donald Trump was more involved with Mr. Epstein than reported. That could also create some backlash.
It already has begun to divide the MAGA people because they campaigned on, when we get there, there'll be a full release. Our Attorney General Bondi says, I have the list on my desk. All of us, now you're a judge. Let's assume this is a court trial. You know circumstantial evidence. You got to tilt the scales one way or the other. They say, the list is on my desk. By God, when we get in power, we're going to release it. They get in power. Now, all of a sudden, there's no list, and we're not going to release the files because there's nothing to see. Pass the...
Here's what doesn't make any sense.
Smell test. What do you think, Senator? Oh, he says leave those files alone.
What doesn't make any sense is if the Trump MAGA people knew that the Epstein files may have some damaging information, why did they make it an issue in the last election? I don't understand that.
Well, they loved talking about Bill Clinton's got to be in there. And they, in fact, the whack jobs amongst all of that took it all the way to the Pizzagate, child abuse in a pizza place in Washington, D.C., all part of this same ugly set of color.
By the way, today we're taping on Tuesday.
Yes.
Today is President Bill Clinton's 79th birthday.
79. Unbelievable. You know, as I look back, the baby boom generation, well, Trump, Bill Clinton, and there's a third one that are also, well, maybe George W.
Right.
Are all 79 or all baby boomers are all the same age. And I'm not sure how well we've done. What do you think, Senator? Whatever Trump says?
Yesterday was the first day of classes at USI. And this morning I had my first class at USI, political science class, and we were talking about the law and politics, and how politics can influence legislation and sometimes court decisions.
Now, following the Indiana legislature's great guidance in higher education, are you very careful to make sure that you are not woke and that you are not only just even-handed, but that you allow all the divergent viewpoints and all of the kind of bullcrap that Todd the idiot and Diego Immorales and Myra. How about Micah? He's going to do a town hall in Newburgh tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you be careful, because Todd Stupid, the AG, is even investigating DePaul and Butler, is it?
I believe so.
To make sure that they're viewpoint neutral. You okay with that, Senator? Whatever Trump says.
Here's what's really disturbing to me. I love IU. You love IU.
Yes.
We were very upset with the way they changed the makeup of the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees commissioned a private law firm to investigate these charges against the now president, plagiarism charges, and basically came to the conclusion there was nothing there. Now the governor is second-guessing what the Board of Trustees did and thinks they should ask more questions and investigate it further. That's what happens when the the governance of institutions of higher learning get caught up in politics?
Well, you and I will find great agreement in the fact that the legislature should decide, and has since about 1820, that higher education is important,
Right.
that public funding should go to fund higher education, and then they ought to leave who's admitted, what's taught, and what the majors are to those within the academy.
Exactly.
They have no business delving into teaching subject matter and how it's taught. It's not their
When
business.
Herman Wells became president many, many years ago, he saw intellectuals and academicians from all over the country, all over the world.
Why there's the #1 music school in the world in a limestone pit.
And
Yeah.
brought them to Indiana. Didn't ask their politics.
No.
He looked for their talent, their ability to teach this subject matter. And that's what that greatness of IU is still there today, but politics has usually been on the back burner and not affecting day-to-day decisions.
And we're all enriched by the divergence of the student population, the diversity of thought. Right in Bloomington, you have one of the single busiest opera schedules. Right on the outside of town, you had the Dalai Lama's brother, Norbu. The Dalai Lama's brother, we have a wonderful East Asian department. All the opalescent flags, prayer flags fluttering out there. Students can walk by and see architecture of IMP. We've got a, don't tell anybody I said this, but we also have a great engineering school up in West Lafayette. I didn't really mean that. Right here, for the kids that grow up in Indiana. Legislature, leave it alone. You okay with that, Jim?
I had an opportunity many years ago to have dinner with IMP. Shortly after the art gallery
Absolutely.
was
the guy that
dedicated.
designed the entrance to the Louvre.
Yeah, amazing.
It is. So,
Yeah.
tell me what you think about this whole gerrymander thing. California says if they do it, we're going to do it.
Right.
But we had a visit from Hillbilly Elegy, J.D. Vance, Trump should be, but now he's great. J.D. came here to the state and met with our governor, Mike No Brains All Brawn, and they all sat down, and they already have 7 of our 9 congressional seats, but evidently we're on the skillet.
By the way, if we do a redistricting program, guess who's going to pay for it? The taxpayers.
The taxpayer.
And this is the same year we're talking about austerity in the state budget. Programs being cut. But we're going to spend money. They're saying it's going to cost at least $250,000 to have a redistricting program.
Because, and factor in the cost of a special session,
Right.
which they would have to do. I saw a figure of $500,000. But when you got 7 seats, and the only 2 places where Democrat sits is inside the Beltway, Andre Carson sitting in his mother's seat, Julia was there
Right.
forever,
Right.
and up Gary. So we're going to redistrict that so the African-American population, we can water that down and try to get all 9 seats. I mean, back when you could argue with me, you wouldn't even have been for that.
Well, here's the interesting thing. Several members of the General Assembly, Republican members, are very skeptical and don't want to do this. I don't think they will. I think they'll back off.
I can only hope that you are correct.
Speaking of proposals by
Speaking of me being correct, right, Senator?
the president says he's going to sign an executive order outlawing mail-in ballots throughout the United States and outlawing voting machines. Now, Patrick, you're a bright guy, a very good lawyer, a student of the law. Can he do that? By executive order?
No.
Why not?
And you know what the most gut-wrenching piece of that was?
What?
In announcing that, he said, why, President Putin President Putin says they don't allow that in Russia. That's what we need to do, is model ourselves after those free and fair elections in the Soviet Union.
An autocrat who's been in power for over 20 years.
And who killed, what was his name? Navalny, who died. They assassinated. Here's the thing, Don, you orange buffoon. The United States Constitution leaves the conduct of elections to the states. The states. You knew that, didn't you, Senator? Whatever Trump says. I'm just telling you. I read today, I didn't follow it up, that our 79-year-old president couldn't come up with the name of one of the oceans. I just think maybe he's...
Which ocean?
Well, I don't know. It could be the Gulf of America. Has that caught on, by the way?
I haven't heard too many people use that term.
I have not either.
Something on a more positive note.
Yes. You agree with me, by the way, that he can't sign an executive order. And
the real question is this. You can't do it by executive order, but can Congress pass legislation mandating the outlawing of mail-in ballots?
No. We vote in Indiana differently than they vote in Illinois. We set where the precincts are and how the votes are and where they're counted in state and federal elections. So, I mean, no, I don't think so, but nothing surprises me anymore.
Okay, on a positive note.
Positive note.
Next weekend begins IU football.
Ranked number 20 preseason. We're going to find out whether that was a one-off, aren't we?
Let me tell you something. I cannot believe the enthusiasm at the box office for IU football.
Already have sellouts.
In
our lifetime, did you ever believe it?
And parking is at a premium. They've had to lease 8 more lots for parking for the games.
And now you can get basketball tickets.
Yeah.
You talk about how things can change in this world. In our day, there was a waiting list longer than Vanderburgh County to try to get in a basketball game in the balcony, and anybody could have walked into the football stadium. Nobody gave a damn. So I don't know. But all of sports, of course, is different now.
Well, it is different. I mean, we've talked about this before, and I'd like to see the IU's athletic director be a guest in our program, because I want to ask the big question: how are we going to afford all this stuff? Paying players.
Well, you know, to that point, and here's what USI and UE both have gone Division I.
Right.
You go Division I, and I saw today, UE, God love them. I mean, did we grow up going to Aces games or not?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Tickets in your Chesty Potato or Hesmer's or whatever they were. That was the whole town.
Right.
A great thing, great tradition, Roberts Stadium. But I read today that UE's preseason schedule's out, and they're going to play both Notre Dame and Purdue. Now, I think David Ragland is a great coach. I play golf with President P. I'm all for him. But they are not going to raise the NIL money that Purdue or Notre Dame has. So it's like, what are we doing here? We're saying Division I, except there are now classes.
Right.
Them that have the money and them that don't.
Let me ask you this. We both, I think, would agree that things have gone too far. So how do we put the genie back in the bottle, or can we?
We ought to have. Scott Dolson, if he comes to town, we'll get him on here. But I talked to him. And this was right when it came in. It has changed now, but I said, Scott, what keeps George Steinbrenner, who said, I'll show you how the Yankees will go to the World Series. I'll spend more and go buy whatever I got to buy, and did. I said, so Ohio State and Texas are going to spend whatever it takes, and while you won't have any trouble raising a lot of money, he said, well, the NCAA at that time had capped it at $22 million. You could only spend $22 million a season, You also have Title IX considerations.
Right.
You can't spend it all in men's athletics. You have to spend it in women's sports. But and it doesn't have to be equal, but let's assume it did. If you got $11 million for men's sports, I said, does that mean for the right player I could spend $10 million to get a center and spread the other million around the other 24 sports? He said, theoretically, yes. Now, I think it's changed. I think the cap is a little higher. But if IU can raise its $20 million every year, Ohio State can, but UE can't. So how do you change this? How do you make it competitive?
You're talking about the NCAA setting caps. NCAA has been neutered. They have no power.
True.
I mean, they don't even control the football playoffs.
We just watched the SEC on Netflix. It's an interesting 7-part series, 45 minutes a show. That football is a religion in the South. Every one of those schools will do whatever it takes to win. And, there's part of me that says all of that TV revenue is because of the kids on the field, so why shouldn't they share? Where's all that money going? But to answer your fundamental first question, I don't know. And I was a college trustee, and you were too, and I did it for 20 years. And if they ask me right now, I don't know what that answer is.
And because it's not just NIL money, the House versus the NCAA case also says that players need to be compensated, not just NIL.
Senator, do you have any idea? Whatever Trump says. Oh, well, I guess that's Senator Blank's last word on the topic. So we've got elections coming up.
Right.
Local. Do we have local elections next year?
We do have county elections.
County?
And state, and some state offices.
What state offices? Not the governor, is it? We just elected
Secretary of State will be up this time, I believe.
Diego M. Morales?
And by the way,
who just back from Hungary driving his new SUV?
The office that Bo Bai is rumored to be seeking is Secretary of State.
That was the way Dad entered, if you'll recall. Well, that would be interesting. We'll get him on this show if indeed he chooses, because why would he not come on Shively Shoulders?
How many viewers do we have again?
I want to thank all 5 million of you. Remember, we got some great shows coming up. We got the prosecutor of Vanderburgh County next time.
Right.
Diane Mers. We're going to see if she still endorses. I should leave her alone about the Musgrave endorsement. Do you think it's been long enough?
Long enough, Patrick.
Okay, I'm going to leave that alone. We have in the future Darla Hoover, and we will always have you 5 million, his honor, right here on Shively Shoulders.